Hey, what's up, guys? Okay, so we got another fire chapter, chapter 256 of Black Clover out this week. Man, I don't know what's up with Tabata, but ever since chapter 251, he's just been killing it week after week, except for that 1 week he took off. But still, week after week, pretty much, of Black Clover. Just been nothing but great chapters. I'm excited to talk about it, even though it's probably going to end up being a shorter review, because while this was an exciting, extremely great chapter, it was mostly action-packed, so there's not really much to go over. It was actually a very quick read. I was able to read it about 2 to 3 times within an hour. So whenever you can do that, you can tell that it's not really going to be that much of a talking point. Now, that being said, before I actually start officially the video, I do just want to mention that it actually is currently the night of 4th of July as I'm recording this video. So because of that, you might actually end up hearing fireworks off in the background. In fact, one just went off a little while ago. Don't know if you actually heard it during the beginning of this video. If you did, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do about it. I'll try to fix it in post, but for the most part, you're probably going to end up hearing some fireworks going off in the background. It's been like this all week. I hate it myself, but there's nothing I can really do about it. But you know what I can do? I can sit here and gush about the fact that we actually get to see Yami take a hit from Dante and come out the other side all bloodied and beaten up and still look like a smug badass ready to take Dante out in the very next panel. I mean, honestly, the only thing that would have made him look even cooler in this page would have been if he would have been smoking a cigarette at the same time. And you know what now? Full disclosure, on Thursday night, I actually got the page where we see Yami all beaten up and bloodied, spoiled to me prior to the chapter's release. And when I saw that page, I was losing my shit because this is the first time, and I actually went back and checked, but this is the first time, as far as I can tell, that we've actually seen Yami take a hit that it would actually cause him to bleed in any one of his fights throughout the entire series. This is the first one. And like, yo, seeing this page of Yami all beaten up and bloodied and still looking like a smug asshole was really blowing my mind. And what was even blowing my mind even more, guys, was the fact that despite the fact that this is Yami's first time ever taking any real damage in a fight, Black Clover's new chapter was not trending on Twitter, but One Piece was. And yo, I get it. What we end up finding out in this week's chapter of One Piece is such a big, shocking reveal. I can understand, especially since One Piece is such a much bigger series than Black Clover is at this point. But still, us Black Clover fans gotta step it up, because I mean, we're seeing our boy Yami actually bloodied and beaten in this chapter for the first time ever. This should have been trending. This should have been trending that same night that it got revealed. The same night the spoilers or the scans came out, this should have been trending that same day. And you know what, maybe it was at some point and I just kind of missed it, and then, once the reveal for One Piece, I should say, it came out, maybe that overlapped it or overshadowed it. But still, we should have saw Black Clover trending that night. We gotta step it up. Now, we actually get to see Dante's full powered 80% dark form in this chapter and the new design that goes with it. And I gotta be honest with you, design is actually kind of cool looking. I'm not sure if I like it more than the design he had prior to this, but it actually is a pretty cool and well-made design by Tabata. Basically, now those dark lines that he had over his forehead basically extend down to like a full mask covering, I want to say, just above his nose. Maybe I had to go back and look, but I think it's like just above his nose. And then the lines are extending down to the rest of his face, covering his mouth and chin. And then he also has, in addition to that, 2 small black wings at on like his lower back, in addition to obviously the 2 wings he already had. I mean, there's not really much of a change, but it is kind of a nice addition to show that, hey, this is a more powerful version of what we've already seen. Although it does kind of feel a little weird calling this Dante's full power, considering we saw in the last 2 chapters that obviously the Dark Triad members have a more powerful version of the Dark Form, which, since the series hasn't actually given it a name just yet, I've been kind of calling the hybrid version, which is basically when they share their body half and half with their demon that's possessing them. Obviously, with Megikuo and Vanica, it was, I believe Megikuo was controlling the right half, and Vanica was controlling the left. And in this form, they were vastly more powerful than they were prior to it. Now, the rest of the chapter was all just pure action. We had Dante using his brand new move, I believe it was called Gravitation Magic, Gravitation Singularity, or something like that. Basically, just kind of created this dense, small, black hole-ish ball that he sent flying after Yami throughout the entire chapter. And Yami at first initially dodges it, and he realizes that he basically can't deflect the attack. So his plan is actually to use his Dark Moon to counteract it and basically dispel it. But he realizes that there's actually a small problem with that. Dark Moon is the only thing that's basically protecting him with its area of effect monozone ability from basically being affected by Dante's gravity magic. And even if he actually is able to basically blitz Dante fast enough before his gravitation magic could actually affect him. After canceling out Dark Moon, Dante's just going to end up healing with the flesh magic from Lucifer. So he needs to do an attack that basically will instantaneously take out Dante in one shot and not leave him any chance or any room to regenerate. And this was actually the part of the chapter that was a little bit confusing to read, because while Yami's running away from Dante's singularity attack, we see him basically trying to think of a way to counteract and attack Dante in a way to basically take him out in one hit. And while he's doing this, there's a moment like near the end of one of the pages where we get this full panel of close up on Yami's eye, and basically all he says is a dot. And then in the next panel after that, or in the second to next panel after that, we see him actually take the hit from Dante's singularity attack. And then that's when Dante actually basically drops a rock on top of him, which actually ends up causing Yami to bleed out in the chapter. But that part of the chapter was a little bit confusing because what Yami was thinking to himself in the fan translated version, and the fact that he said a dot and then immediately was attacked afterwards, it kind of made it seem like he was reacting to Dante's new attack. But what he was actually doing was actually coming up with an idea for a brand new technique that he would end up using on Dante by the end of the chapter. And that brand new attack was called Dark Magic Sudden Death, which is not only a badass name, but seemingly is going to end up being a very badass attack and new move that Yami can add to his arsenal. Because, alright, in the chapter, what ends up happening is that Yami basically condenses Dark Moon and all his mana power into one single point, basically where the dot comes in. He basically focuses on kind of like one small tiny dot, and then uses a thrust attack to basically obliterate Dante's entire upper body. Like literally in the following panel, after we see Yami use that attack, all we see is that Dante's head, arms, and lower body are completely floating in the air, separated from one another, and his entire upper body from the top of his waist to the bottom of his neck is completely gone. And as if seeing that panel where Dante's body's basically just been obliterated isn't enough to make you think that Yami is such a badass, and that this was probably one of the most hypest chapters in the past few weeks. We end up finding out on the very last page that Yami actually screwed up the attack. So basically what Yami was trying to do was kind of condense the attack into a singular point. So like, alright, basically he wanted to do, what he said he ended up doing was a cannon-like attack, when really what he wanted to do was a thrust. And basically what he means by that is like, kind of like, think of Asuna from Sword Art Online, where with her rapier, she basically uses thrust motion attacks, where instead of slashing at her opponent, she basically pokes them with her sword. It's kind of like what Yami wanted to do, because most likely instead of obliterating Dante's entire upper body, Yami most likely wanted to basically strike a singular point on his body, probably like his heart or something in his chest, in order to kill him with one attack. That's why he called it sudden death. I was actually watching a video earlier today from one of the Dragon Ball YouTubers. His name's Geekdom101, I think. And he was actually discussing in the video with another YouTuber whose name's, escaping me at the moment. But the two of them were basically discussing the Kamehameha wave versus the special beam cannon in Dragon Ball Z, and which one's the more deadly attack. And this attack that Dante or that Yami was trying to do, and what he was really trying to use from it, kind of reminds me of the special beam cannon in a way, because in their video they basically compared the special beam cannon to be a more precise attack versus the Kamehameha wave being a more wide range cannon like attack. And it's basically kind of the same thing that happened with Yami in this chapter. He wanted his sudden death to be a precise hit on a certain part of the body, while seemingly it ended up being basically a wide range attack that obliterated Dante's entire upper half. So while it is seemingly very cool and very powerful, the attack ultimately ended up failing because Yami didn't do exactly what he was trying to do. Now, I mean, of course, even though we do see Dante get basically obliterated in this chapter, we know that there's no way that he actually ends up losing this fight. Yami has to lose a fight because, as I've been saying for the past few chapters now, obviously Tabata's setting up that each of the three main characters, that being Asta, Yuno, and Noelle, are going to have a personal grudge and actually a reason to fight and go up against each of the three Dark Triad members. Yuno obviously facing off against Zeno, Noelle obviously facing off against Vanica, and then of course Asta facing off against Dante. And because of that, we know that in the next chapter we're going to see Dante regenerate. And the reason why it actually would make sense for him to be able to regenerate, despite the fact that his body's been blown to smithereens in this chapter by Yami's new attack, is because Lucifer, or if you want to argue, as some fans have been doing for a while now, it could actually be Dante's magic. But either way, because of either his own magic or Lucifer's magic, Dante has flesh magic abilities, which has allowed him to basically regenerate up until this point, which is what basically Yami was actually worried about earlier in the chapter as to why he didn't use one of his dark dimensional slashes on Dante after canceling out the singularity attack that was chasing him with the Dark Moon, because he knew that Dante would end up regenerating, and that's most likely what's going to end up happening in the next chapter, which will end up leading to him kidnapping Yami in the same way that Vanica kidnapped Laura Pachica and that Zeno kidnapped William. And then once that happens, each of the 3 main characters from this arc will have a reason as to why they should go up against one of the Dark Triad members later on. But that ends up bringing up the question, alright, well, I mean, if they so easily got their asses kicked already by the Dark Triad members, how are they going to gain enough power before they end up enacting their plan that will basically let all the demons come in and take over the world? How will each of these members actually end up getting enough power to defeat the Dark Triad members prior to that plan being activated? Because, I mean, Asta, Noelle, Yuno, especially Yuno, are really all going to need major power-ups if they're going to actually end up holding their own against the Dark Triad members in round 2. Now, when it comes to Asta, it's a very easy way for him to get the power-up. All he has to do is basically find some way, since we already know that AMD already has a hatred for the higher up level demons. If he's able to convince AMD in the same way Naruto was able to convince Kurama to work with him in a more friendly manner, then that's a power up right there. Asta doesn't even really need to train or anything. He already has his power up with AMD. But when it comes to Noelle and Yuno, it's more questionable how they're going to get the power ups they need in such a short amount of time. Because remember, as far as we're aware, Dante and the rest of the Dark Triad members don't really have to wait that long in order to activate their plan once they kidnap Yami. Because they already have William. So once they have Yami, they'll have pretty much everything they need. Now, maybe Tabata will come out of his ass and say that, you know, they need another like 3 months before they can actually activate the plan. Maybe the moon has to be aligned in some certain way in order for them to do it. We don't know just yet, but we know that the clock is ticking down. Once Yami gets kidnapped, they are on a short time span as to when they can get the power up and then go into the Space Kingdom and invade and attack the Dark Triad members in order to rescue their friends again. Now with Noelle, I've been saying it for a while now, it's a very easy way for Tabata to give her a power up. Just give her the contract with Udine. And, you know, maybe if Tabata doesn't want to take the power away from her at the end of the arc, instead of Udine, he can give her a contract with someone else, you know, some other water spirit, or maybe, like I said in the last video, some kind of like water angel. You know, that could be a way for her to get a major power up in a short amount of time. But when it comes to Yuno, there's not really a way for him to get a major power up in that short amount of time. I mean, again, unless they really need another few months in order to activate their plan, Yuno needs to get his power up now. And the only way I could possibly think of him getting a power up, you know, that would actually work for this fight in a short amount of time is maybe Tabata draws on Yuno's Spade Kingdom heritage. I don't know, just basically I can see that in some way embracing his heritage as the real crown prince of the Spade Kingdom is going to end up resulting in him getting the power up he needs in order to face off against Zeno. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much it for the video. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys thought about anything I had to say for this video. And of course, I'll catch you guys next week with the next chapter. But until then, peace out.